We're here at patreon.com. This will eventually go live on the main channel. So if you're watching on the main channel, welcome. You can watch these videos live on patreon.com/American Homestead. I think we'll start doing them live over there on Wednesday nights. And each week we'll pick a topic and kind of dive into that and see just how things go. And in the last couple of weeks, we've done cheap ways to build your garden soil, how to feed your chickens post-collapse. And then we did a concealed carry and some basic firearm stuff last week. That was on Discord. And then this week, I saw the reports of Zuckerberg's, what do you want to call it, his bunker in Hawaii. And this really went, and the main reason it went mainstream, went viral, the story was, well, he's in the know, don't you know? And so probably he knows something we don't. And so he's building an underground bunker, and we should all just be afraid and run in terror. I don't know where we should run, but we should run somewhere in terror. And that's kind of like the media, what they carried on with. And so today we're going to talk about this. So if you don't know, let me just let you guys understand some things. So I do a consulting business, and I do it for usually new homesteaders or established homesteaders who are looking for answers and maybe looking for some guidance in some ways. And so if you go to my website at AmericanHomestead.com, you can see a consult link up on there on the menu. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at this from a perspective of what I want to be here if it all went down. If the sheep hits the rotating oscillator, what I want to be where Zuckerberg is. Because that's the kind of advice, and I've had a number of consults who just want information on is this a good place to put my animals? How would I arrange my homestead? Or, what can I do about security, or, just fencing issues or water issues or things like that. And so, I look at things, especially from an overview of like a satellite image, and okay, we can try to see what we have to work with. And then, going into soil quality and other stuff too. Sometimes I go out and I walk site on some places. So all that to say, I'm looking at it from that perspective. What I want to be where Zuckerberg is when it all goes down. So we'll get into it today. The original article was published by thewired.com, I believe. We'll get into that. But before we get into that, if you are new to patreon.com, if you have not gotten these books yet, these PDF books are herbal extracts of all kinds of great things that I can't talk about on YouTube. All kinds of tinctures and stuff like that. But see, that this doesn't tell you how to make the tinctures. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there that talk about that. What this talks about is usually the things you can't talk about on YouTube, or if you do, you're in danger. You're like the danger zone. This tells you why you build the tinctures, why you make the tinctures, and the reasons why you might need these things. So both of these books, if you buy them on Amazon, they're going to cost you like $900 for one, like $800 for the other. So you can, they're really expensive on Amazon. But if you join my Patreon, I will give you the PDF downloads. These are the second edition ones. The ones I'm giving you are the third edition, the final ones before they went out of copyright, went out of print. This guy, A.B. Howard, he lived like back in the 1800s. He's long gone. And but the books, the information that he wrote a long time ago, before the information was suppressed, still lives on today. And I think it's just, listen, if you join my Patreon, I'll give you the PDFs. You can have them. You can join for as little as $1 a month, and you get access to the books and other stuff too. But if you join at higher levels, I appreciate that. It all helps supporting the channel. So thank you so much for that. Also, because of the crazy censorship times we live in, please go to my website at AmericanHomestead.com. You can sign up for my email newsletter on the main page. The main page has a little email thing right there. If you scroll down a little bit on the right-hand side, sign up for my newsletter so that if something happens to me, hopefully I can still, unless something, really happens to me, but if something just happens to me on YouTube land and I'm no longer here, I'll be able to stay in contact with you. The last thing is the UPI solar generator. I'll go ahead and mention this real quick. There is a banner ad on my website on the right hand of my main page at AmericanHomestead.com. where they're having a flash sale because of all the holiday stuff going on. If you want access to that, they're giving some pretty deep discounts. And I know some of you guys have already bought these things, and I highly recommend them. That's why I keep talking about them on my channel. A solar generator is a great emergency backup for your home and homestead. So you can get that. They're giving some pretty deep discounts right now. And AmericanHomestead.com, that link will lead you over there, and you can figure out which system is best for you. I should have put a glass of water in here before I got started. I guess I could just get up and go get one, but let's just dive into this thing. So let's go over to the Wired article. I'm assuming... okay, I'm reading up the chat here. I'll get back to the chat here in a minute. Guys, if you have questions at the end, we'll talk about the stuff, and I'll go to the chat and we'll talk about all the stuff. But until then, I'm just going to read the article. I'm going to show you some stuff on Google Earth, and then we're going to kind of talk through some topics that I have, just a couple, and then, we'll go, talk about it all amongst ourselves in the chat. So let's go ahead and go over to wired.com. Let me see if I can share my screen. This thing is over at, I'm going to use Brave browser, because it keeps some of the ads down, and the ads are insane. So let's go over to my screen, share my screen. No, wrong one. There we go. Okay. It says, inside Mark Zuckerberg's top secret Hawaii compound. It says Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is building a sprawling $100 million compound in Hawaii, complete with plans for a huge underground bunker. A Wired investigation reveals the true scale of the project and its impact on the local community. And if you scroll down, it says off the 2-lane highway that winds along the northeast side of the Hawaiian island Kauai, on a quiet stretch of ranch land between the tourist hubs of Kapa and Hanalei, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, an enormous secret construction project is underway. Maybe I can zoom that in so you can read too. A 6-foot wall blocks the view, and I've seen this wall in various photos. It doesn't look that ominous or even 6 foot, even from some of the higher points. But anyway, it says 6-foot wall. From a nearby road fronting the project where cars slow to try to catch a glimpse of what's behind it. It seems like it's kind of far out there. You're not going to see anything. Security guards stand watch at an entrance gate and patrol the surrounding beaches on ATVs. Pickup trucks roll in and out, hauling building materials and transporting hundreds of workers. Nobody working on this project is allowed to talk about it, what they're building. Almost anyone who passes compound security, from carpenters to electricians to painters to security guards, is bound by a strict non-disclosure agreement, according to several workers involved in the project. And they say these agreements aren't a formality. Multiple workers claim they saw or heard about colleagues removed from the project for posting about it on social media. Different construction crews within the site are assigned to separate projects, and workers are forbidden from speaking with other crews about their work. Okay, remind me, I want to talk about this at some point after we're done here. It's Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club, says David, one former contract employee. Wired has agreed to withhold his real name because he was not authorized to speak to the press. Anything posted from here, they get wind of right away. Another former site worker, who we will call John, says he was told that another member of his construction company was fired for allegedly sharing a picture of the project on Snapchat. He's heard similar stories from other crews. John says the very strict enforcement of NDAs has made workers on site unwilling to take the chance to get caught even taking a picture. The project is so huge that a not insignificant share of the island is bound by the NDA. But everyone here knows who is behind it: Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, who bought the land in a series of deals beginning in August of 2014. Okay, it says interviews with several people associated with the project, along with public records and court documents seen by Wired, suggest that since then, the planning and construction of the roughly 1,400-acre compound has been shrouded in secrecy. The property, known as Kulua Ranch, because that how you say Kula'u Ranch, will, according to planning documents, Kahlua, I was thinking Kahlua like the a coffee drink, include a 5,000 square foot underground shelter. They have its own energy and food supplies, and when coupled with land purchase prices, will cost an excess of $270 million. So he's spending $100 million for the project. He's already spent $170 million for the property. That's what I've read, at least. According to evidence reviewed by Wired, the project has relied on legal maneuvering and political networking, and at times sources believe it has shown disregard for the local public. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. The part I want to get into is here. Blah, blah. That's not what I want to talk about. Oh, yeah, here it is. According to the plans viewed by Wired and a source familiar with the development, the partially completed compound consists of more than a dozen buildings with at least 30 bedrooms and 30 bathrooms in total. It's centered around 2 mansions with a total floor area comparable to a professional football field, 57,000 square feet, which contain multiple elevators, offices, conference rooms, and an industrial-sized kitchen. Okay, it's got 30 bedrooms, so you know they're getting ready to put some people up in this thing, right? In a nearby wooded area, a web of 11 disc-shaped tree houses are planned, which will be connected to intricate rope bridges, allowing visitors to cross from one building to the next while staying among the treetops. All right, that's important later. I want to talk about this because I believe there's... Listen, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I'm not dumb, okay? And we'll talk about this in a minute, along with the thing I mentioned up above. A building on the other side of the main mansions will include a full-size gym, pool, sauna, hot tub, cold plunge, and tennis court. The property is dotted with other guest houses and operations buildings. The scale of the project suggests it will be more than a personal vacation home. Zuckerberg has already hosted 2 corporate events at the compound. The plans show that the 2 central mansions will be joined by a tunnel that branches off into a 5,000 square foot underground shelter featuring living space, a mechanical room, and an escape hatch that can be accessed via a ladder. There's cameras everywhere, David says, and documents back this up. More than 20 cameras are included on plans for one smaller ranch operations building alone. Many of the compound's doors are planned to be keypad operated or soundproofed. Others, like those in the library, described as blind doors. So that's like hidden doors that they're putting throughout this construction project, or the home or the building, made to imitate the design of the surrounding walls. The door and the underground shelter will be constructed out of metal and filled in with concrete, a style common in bunkers and bomb shelters. Okay. Now here's the part I take note. I'm processing. According to sources and planning documents reviewed by Wired, the compound will be self-sufficient with its own water tank, 55 feet in diameter and 18 feet tall. Now, some of you guys out there, who are good at math and figuring that out, can tell me how many gallons in the chat that will hold of water, along with a pump system. A variety of food is already produced across its 1,400 acres through ranching and agriculture. Brandy Hoffline Barr, spokesman of the Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan. Okay, so a big water tank, 55 feet in diameter, 18 feet tall, along with a pump system. Now, just keep all that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep this, this part up here. Let's talk about this first. Where they were trying to keep workers separated. Let's go ahead and just switch back over here to the camera. They're trying to keep the workers separated. We don't want you guys talking. We don't want you guys over here building this to let everyone over here know what you're building. We don't want them building over that with this to let people over here know what you're building over there. The reality is, when people, because these construction workers know each other, their families talk. It's a small town. I mean, that's one of the things in this article. They say it's a small town feel. It's got the feel of a small town. So all these people are talking. They all know what's going on. They all know what you're building. They know you're building all your secret stuff and your war room, if you're building that, or bunkers and all the things you're going to have. This is not good, OPSEC. This is horrible OPSEC. And this is coming from someone who's been in the military, who knows the basics about operational security, and, dived into other things as well. That's bad. Guys, these people are going to know. Everything you're doing, they're going to know. And if it all comes crashing down tomorrow, all these people are going to know what you got. Because they're all going to talk. And at that point, it ain't going to matter. When it all comes crashing down, your NDA isn't going to mean squat. I mean, it just is what it is. No one's going to be scared of your lawyers anymore. In fact, lawyers are probably going to be on the endangered species list, as they should be. It's what Shakespeare said, right? Kill all the lawyers. So it's like, what are you going to do at that point? Now, a 55 diameter water tank. What was the other thing? Let me go back over here. It was something. Industrial size kitchen. Yeah, so 30 bedrooms and 30 bathrooms. Keep that in mind. So let's talk about that. Now, let me take you over to where we have the map at here on Google Earth. Let me show you where this property is. And we're going to kind of talk it out a little bit, kind of gameplay. We're going to do some armchair commandoing. We're going to do some armchair quarterbacking, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and go over there and see what we got. All right, so if you can see my screen, this is the location of where we have Zuckerberg's property. Okay. Now, it starts right here at this beach front right here. It comes all the way down this fence line, goes all the way down this road, all along this road, and then goes up back here. Okay. This is the entirety of his property. A majority of this was purchased at, I don't know, some years back, and then they purchased another slice right here. And the public has access to this beach, I believe, part of it. And then I think this is like his private beach, if I'm not mistaken. I read in an article that the public was going to continue to have access to this part here. They have access to this road. This is a public road. It will not be blocked off. And they raise cattle, and there's some other things that they have here. But I see no real agriculture on this property except for some stuff right here that is on the property. You know, so they've got some food growing stuff, but this is right next to the road. Okay, this is if a hungry zombie mob is gathering on this side of the wall, because this wall that they talk about that he built is all along this road here. I mean, you're putting your food that everyone's relying on right next to the road. It's not smart to me, but okay. And this is only. I'm guessing that this is really his property. I'm going to throw some doubt on that in a minute, because I just don't think someone hopefully is advising him not to be this stupid. Now, the only place I can see some construction going on the property is this right here. Okay, there's some guest houses. There's this nice big house here. And there's a construction project here, but that doesn't look like anything compared to what they're talking about going on. And some of the pictures that were leaked online don't seem to match. I think there was a picture leaked online, and I think it was completely photoshopped. Because, I mean, Zuckerberg, you don't get to be a billionaire and not control some aspects of the media, right? I mean, you are the media in some aspects. So let me see if I can find, I think it was this picture here. This was the picture that was leaked out on Twitter, and it says Image 2023 Airbus. I don't know if this is legit or not, but I've looked for different features, because you can't see a lot of features, and we don't know how old this Google Earth imagery is here, but there is some grass here and looks like maybe some brush or something. I've looked for this shape anywhere. I cannot find it anywhere. I think this was Photoshopped. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's legit. Maybe it's real. But this is supposedly the construction that's going on right now. But let's go back to Google Earth. Do you see, they keep talking about tree houses. Do you see a lot of trees here? If this is where the construction's going on, because I'm assuming this is the beachfront property. This is his private beach right here. I don't see that many trees. I see some trees here. You know, and I mean, does Zuckerberg only have one tennis court? I mean, what kind of billionaire only has one tennis court? But that's on his property. I don't see anywhere else on this property where there's a construction project that meets this scale. There's some kind of dirt messed up over here, but I don't see anything going on. And again, you don't know how old these photos are. And I don't think they would have it this close to the property line. This looks like a water tank, but that does not look to me like a 55 feet diameter water tank. Looks a little bit smaller than that. Quite a bit smaller, actually. So I don't think this is the property is what I'm saying. I think he owns this. It's very clear by documents and stuff like that. This is his property. But if you were a smart guy, if someone was advising you, maybe he's not that smart, but maybe there's someone advising him that's probably smarter than him, you would not want to tell everybody and anybody, because everyone's going to know you're building something. Okay? You got to have and if you're a billionaire, you have the money to throw out chaff, okay, if you know what I mean. You have the money to throw out chaff. I don't know. So something else I found on the island that I thought was interesting. Where is it at? Yeah, right here. There is a construction project going on over here. That's a little bit bigger of a construction project. And there's a lot more trees in the area. And that looks a lot more like a 55-foot diameter and a possibly, look at the shadow on that thing, and a possibly 18-foot tall water tank. I don't know. Call me skeptical. And there's some big mansions here. And they said there was already some mansions on the property. And there's not that many big mansions on the property over there. There's one or two, but not near like, that's a good sized house right there. That's a good sized house there too. That one, nothing to sneeze at, but So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but here's the reality. Let's talk about some specifics. And I'll switch back over to my camera here. So I've met a number of people who have moved overseas in the last number of years, and they move to places where they think it's going to be a cheaper cost of living, and they're going to be able to make do, and if hard times come, they're going to be able to survive much easier. Usually, all of them move back, and it's because the cost of living goes up. A lot of Americans had the same idea. Let's go to Ecuador. Let's go to Costa Rica. Let's go to Nicaragua, Uruguay, Paraguay. And they find out it's not exactly what they thought it was. And a lot of the comforts of life they don't have down there. Not to mention the biggest reason why I would never get my passport and move, overseas in order to save myself. I can't take my guns with me. And if I can't take my guns with me, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going somewhere where I have to, listen, in third world countries, you can do what you need to do to get firearms. But if you make a wrong step and you talk to the wrong person, you're going to end up in a third world jail, and you don't want that either. So I don't want to, no, I'm not moving anywhere. So the reality is if something kicks off and you're at a place where you don't look like everyone else, everyone is going to only see you as the rich gringo. And it doesn't matter where you are. I use South America as an example or Central America as an example, but you're going to be the rich gringo and you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Do not think about moving somewhere. There are people who come here in the Ozarks or even in Appalachia, like Tennessee, anywhere in Appalachia. And it's like they think they're going to come in, build a mansion because they sold their several $1 million estate in California, and they move out to somewhere more remote, and they bring their high-end vehicles, and they don't look the part. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? But they don't do that. You can't stick out like a sore thumb. You've got to blend in. I did a video on Patreon years ago down at my sawmill where I was talking to people, and they were asking people. What spurred the video was people were asking advice on, what do I do about moving to a new area, and how do I pick and choose? And don't go anywhere where you can't try to blend in. I got a guy who he lives down the road from me, fantastic guy. Everyone around here knows who he is, and he is 100% pure Arkansas. 100% pure Arkansas. And he calls me City Boy. And he tells everybody that my name is City Boy. And, we're good friends. We talk like once a week or whatever. Go over and have a beer with him or something, and just see what's going on. And it's like, I drive, now I have a 4Runner, but I still have my rusty, kind of rusted up Chevy Silverado. That's why I drove all the time. And I would drive up where he was at with some people and be like, oh yeah, it's City Boy. And I would step out of the car and I'd look like this, with my farm jeans on, my farm boots on, and a ragged, t-shirt or something. And they were like, that's the City Boy you're talking about? He doesn't look City Boy. Oh, trust me, he's City Boy. But it's like, you don't look the part. You have to look the part. It's like, don't come here and buy some brand new Silverado or electric hybrid, something or other, and, walk around with designer jeans on and all. You're not going to fit in. Everyone's going to know you're not from here, and they're going to see you as weak and someone they could take advantage of. It's the same with Zuckerberg. Now, I don't know how he's going to feed. He's got 30 bedrooms, and he's got 30 bathrooms, so he's got a place he's apparently building a lot of space for people. He has an industrial-sized kitchen. He's going to bring in tons of food storage with the ability, I'm assuming, to grow more if those were his farms that were by the road there. I don't know how he's going to secure those farms. There was a mention in that article of a security guard, because this project's been going on for a number of years now, and they've had a number of accidents. One guy, he was up on an excavator and it rolled over and he had to go to the hospital, and everyone wondered what happened and they couldn't talk about it. Another guy was a security guard. He was a 70-year-old security guard on watch. He had pulled a 12-hour shift, 70 years old, and his relief didn't come, and he was waiting, so he decided to walk up the hill. And he walked up the hill and he had a heart attack and he died. And everyone wanted to know what happened. No one could talk about it because there's NDAs and everything, and they're pretty strict. It's like, you got a 70-year-old guy pulling security on your compound for when it all hits the fan? Something tells me you're not taking this seriously. And not to mention, Hawaii is not, I mean, you can have firearms in Hawaii, but it's definitely not the most, firearm-friendly state. So, but there are people who have firearms, and are you going to have a well-equipped security detail to protect you and all of your food and all of your bunkers and all of your tree houses and all whatever, your industrial kitchen? When all the people who know what you've got because they've all talked and NDAs don't matter anymore and they're coming for you, if your 70-year-old security guy's going to be the one, fending them off, you're in big trouble, pal. I don't see, and this is one of the things I tell people, you've got to understand operational security and being the gray man. Don't move into an area and start, people all the time talk, people will move into an area and they'll just start throwing up lights everywhere in the countryside. Their homestead will be lit up like New York's, Times Square. And don't do stuff like that. People like the peace and the quiet. People like seeing the stars at night. And if you come in and start acting like you're from New York City and living like that and dressing like that and driving like that, when it comes time and hard times come, you want to be able to rely on your neighbors, and you want to have relationships established, and you want to be able to talk to people, and they know that you're okay. Even if you're from the outside, doesn't matter. I'm still going to be an outsider 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I'm still going to be city boy as long as he's around. But you know what I mean? You've got to blend in. And there's no way Zuckerberg is ever going to blend in. It's just not. So, okay. Let me see what, let's go over to the chat here and see what is being said all. See Thunderdome, Homestead, Ray Chan, Teshuva Tales, Jack, Out of Time, Homestead, Jacqueline Hembry, up north, Homesteader. Welcome, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. And what do you guys think? Do you think he's going to be able to hold on to this fort? I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'm a little bit skeptical. Let's see, you could easily end up like David the Good, and they basically kicked him out. I've heard some of his story. I have not heard all of it. I met him at Doug and Stacy's event that took place last summer. I'm going to go back there this summer. In fact, I'm going back to 2 events that Doug and Stacy are doing. They're doing something in Vandalia, Missouri, and then they're also doing the thing up in Hannibal again, I believe. And so I'll be back up there. And I met David the Good last time I was at Hannibal. And I sat in for one of his talks, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Same with Joel Salatin's parents. They straight up took their land. Yeah, I mean, it's just, with all the stuff going on, I mean, they want to take away your lawnmowers. They want to take away your light bulbs. They want to take away your gas cars. They want to take away your guns. Now they're coming after, what was it the other day? The water filters. It's just like, they can do whatever they want. There's no rules for them. We live in a world where there's no justice, and the laws can apply to anybody. I think I mentioned before, there's over 4 million laws in this country. We've lost count. They can't even count anymore how many laws. When it comes to federal, state, municipal, when you add all the laws together, there's over 4 million laws. If a cop pulls you over, he can take you to jail for something. he'll find something. And if he makes something up, no one's going to question him on it. It's just the way the world is today. You have no rights, and you just you got to do your best to keep your head down when you're out there. Hello from North Alabama. Christina says he wrote about his stories in his new grades in market booklet. New grades, and yeah, I haven't read that yet. But again, I got to sit into one of his talks. David the Good was really phenomenal when it came to his talks, and you can just tell that guy's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. And he's not that old. He's a young guy, I think, but you can just tell by listening to him that he's got some experience. No surprise he will have tree houses and tunnels. I mean, again, going back to that first property that we looked at, there's not a lot of trees there. How's he going to build tree houses? And I mean, you can hide tunnels pretty well, but I just think it would be stupid of Mark Zuckerberg to let everyone know, okay, this is where your bunker is. What I think is probably happening, and I could be proven wrong, but based on what I'm just looking at now and trying to read between the lines and hoping that someone is advising him who has half a brain tactically on his head, that you're going to say you're building here and you're going to have some construction going on and all this stuff, but you're actually doing something somewhere else. And it's on a much lower key. Because the reality is, if it all hits, everyone's going to know what you got, and they're all going to come storming over that 6-foot wall, which is not that high. And you better have a bunch of machine guns. And the thing is, if you have a pretty good detailed security force, you've only got 30 bedrooms. So, I mean, are the 30 bedrooms for your security force? Are you not having any family or any friends that who all is here with you? I mean, 30 bedrooms, I mean, you got to think about, if you're going to have a security that's permanent for you, you're going to have to find a way to pay them, and not with Federal Reserve notes, because those are going to be worthless. And you got to be able to way to keep their families safe. Because I'm not coming to work for you if I'm a security guard or a ex-military, whatever. If I can't bring my family, I'm not going to leave my family to come protect you. I mean, money talks and BS walks in this world, so maybe you can convince a bunch of people to do that. But again, the Federal Reserve notes aren't going to be worth anything. Yeah, I'd love to be able to see the stars. My neighbors like their security lights. North Alabama here as well. I mean, listen, I've got security. We've got cameras, and I've got some motion sensors and things that people have recommended for me to get, and they work pretty well. And that's all stuff you have to get. You got to get some stuff, but they'll put up just like lampposts and lights and all this stuff, and I don't like that. Not to mention, night vision, you own the night, right? That stuff really kind of, why say anything at all? Well, that's again why, if you're as rich as Zuckerberg, are you going to allow the media to really publish everything? I mean, it's going to be a controlled leak, I think, is what we saw last week with the news of his bunker being out in the media. In Venezuela, when the super inflation hit, everyone joined a gang in one sense or another. Even sweet little families had to join a gang of some kind, urban OPSEC, from what I could hear. Yeah, it's like, that's the way, all that is normal. That's something that historically happens all the time. You're going to devolve into warlords and gangs, and crime will be out of control. And if him having a compound right there, you're like low-hanging fruit. And people will test that wire probably at the very beginning. And it would not be a good place to be. You'd want to have something else. You want to be out in the middle of nowhere. And if you're a rich person, here's the deal. If I was a rich person, like a billionaire like Zuckerberg, and I was trying to build it, because one of the things that came up over this last week were all these billionaires who have all of these different bunkers all over these places, all these little prepper bug out places that they're building with all their millions of dollars and billions of dollars. If I was like a billionaire, I would just find somewhere remote that no one knew about, and I would get a house and I would stock it and I would build a homestead, and I'd have like a family member do it. And then when it all kicked off, that's where I'd be. I'd fly over with my helicopter, land in the field, and there I'd be, and put the helicopter in the barn. It's like, and there I am, because that's the best way you're going to survive. But they want to have all their comforts. They want to have their security and their protection and all this stuff. And all of that just brings attention to you. They just can't imagine living without all the comforts that they have now. So anyway, I'm going to open it up. We'll end the video because I don't want to go too long. We're doing a half hour long. And we'll open it up to the main comment section once we post this over at the main channel. And we'll see what other people have to say about this. I'm interested to hear what people's thoughts are. So my question here is this, leaving it open to the comments. Do you think this is his real property? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this is chaff that he's blowing off to distract? If he's smart, that's what he's doing. But maybe not. Let me know what you think. And do you think, I mean, what is his survivability rate? What is his survivability rate on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being the most survivable and 1 being the least survivable. You can put negative numbers if you want to. What is his survivability rate if it all kicks off? If the sheep manure hits the rotating oscillator, how do you think Zuck will fare? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, guys. Hey, be sure to check out our merchandise, teespring.com. You can find our Stupid Should Hurt shirt. If we had more hurt in this world, we'd have an awful lot less stupid. Link in the description below. Also, don't forget about these books, these tincture books, available for patrons at $1. If you just join for $1 a month, you can get these PDF downloads. If you don't know where the links are when you join Patreon, send me a message on Patreon or even on my website, and I will send you the link. I'll make sure you get it. And the smart ones out there of my patrons have already told me they've printed these out, got them in binders, and they have them on their shelves, and they're using them. So those are the smart ones. Do likewise. All right, guys. See you next time on the Homestead. Bye.